Welcome to today's training, and today we're going to look at some string methods and also look at lists in Python, how to use a list, how to modify a list, what exactly is a list, and some other things that we can do for today. All right, so basically we know what string is, we know what strings is not, right? So today we're going to be looking at some methods used alongside string. So, and that's why we have it as string methods. Okay, so basically, method is actually the same thing like as a function, but when you get to class, when you get to creating a class, you understand better what a method is and how it is different from a function. So basically they're the same thing. A method and a function is the same. It's just the context of use that differs, okay? So just to point that out, so you don't start thinking what's again is a method, right? So on the basic level, right? So let's look at, string methods and how we can use this. So for example, we have a string. Let me say my name is Candy, right? So let me just use lower case, right? And then I'll print my name, right? If I run this cell, of course, it gives me Candy as a name, okay? And then if I want to convert all these to capital letter, right? I can use a string, a function here or a method. So I'm going to be using that interchangeably, upper, right? And I can just do, let's say name dot upper. And then if I run this cell, right? So this has returned to me what I wanted to return, right? So basically it has returned to me the uppercase of the string I passed into it. Remember, the name here is Candy, right? And then I changed this to all caps using the upper function or the method, right? So you can do this too. I can change this back to lowercase. So if I save this in a variable, let's say I say uppercase name, for example, equals this, right? So this is my uppercase name now. So I'm just going to turn this to have this. Okay. So if I check this, this returns Candy, right? Right. If I want to convert my all caps to lowercase, as the case may be, I can do this dot lower, right? And then click on enter. And then I have everything back in lowercase, right? And then again, I can, have just the first letter, the first character to be just uppercase, right? So you have scenarios where you do that, right? So where you just want like the first character in your string to be in caps and then the rest should be in lowercase, right? There is a method for that too. I'm just going to copy this and paste here and do dot capitalize and run this. So what this does, as you can see clearly, is that it takes just the first string and then converts it to what? To capital letter and then leaves the rest as what? Small letter. Now we can be thinking, okay, so why exactly do I need to know this, right? If you are going to use Python for data cleaning, for example, right? So, you can have records where you have names of maybe employees and maybe the salary as another column, right? And of course, people have different ways of writing their name. So for example, let's use a real life scenario, right? You drop a link to a Google form and then you ask people to impute their names and probably their location, for example. And then, of course, different people with how they are going to do this. So some persons might have their name, might type their name in all caps, while some might, type in lowercase, right? And you, after this, you want to take this information and use it for something. So for example, this is like a perfect scenario. When I sent out the link of the invite link to this class, some persons actually did that. But then again, I wanted to send out, an email to every person, right? So it will be weird doing hello Kehinde in all caps, right? Or doing hello Fred in lowercase, right? So I had to normalize that, right? I had to take the data first and clean the data, right? So basically what I did was I just took the data and then I used capitalize, right? And then cleaned out my data, my name data, for example, and then used that in my function when I was writing, preparing to send an invite through email, right? So you can see how this is actually done. This is something you are going to use on a daily basis. Okay, so basically that's about some few string methods we're going to use. Okay, so we also have one, which is the title case. So let me show you what the title does. For example, you have a string like address, or let's say letter head, or let's see, yeah, address. So for example, you want to write a letter and then you have something like letter of appointment, for example, right? So this is here, right? So you might want to have, a situation whereby you want to convert each, the first letter or the first character of these words, individual words, to capital letter, right? So if we do something like letterhead dot capitalize, let's see if that will work. And then you will see why we can't do that. Capitalize, right? And then run this. Okay. So, right, this only takes the first character of the whole string and then just returns just the first character as uppercase. But that is not what we want to do, right? We want to convert each of these words in the string. We want to convert the first character into caps, right? So we can do that using the title method, right? So if I do something like letterhead dot title, right? And then run this, right? You can see the difference between capitalize and title, right? So there are different scenarios, and these different scenarios gives, makes us understand like what exactly do we want to do, and then we get the method we're going to use to solve that. Okay, so that's the like an overview of few methods used with strings. Okay, so we're going to be moving straight away to list in Python. Remember, list is also a data type in Python. It's grouped under the sequence data type in Python. So you have list, you have tuple, and so list, we're going to be looking at list. List is actually widely used in Python, even in data analytics, in machine learning. Okay, there is one element similar to list, which is called array. We're not going to be doing that in the course of this training. But then array is similar to a list. There are actually differences between an array and a list. I'll probably point that out in our classes as we move on. But list is, like I said, it's a sequence data type in Python. It is created using the square brackets, right? And separating the values with a comma. So lists are heterogeneous, right? So what do I mean by heterogeneous, right? Remember, we talked about data types. So you can see we're going to be building on what we've taught so far, right? So, and that's why I want everyone to understand the basics, right, as much as possible. Right, so heterogeneous basically means that a list can contain different data types, right? So that's basically what heterogeneous means, okay? And lists are mutable. So mutable means something can be changed, right? So the values in a list can be changed. This is like one of the major differences between a list and a tuple, right? For tuple, the values cannot be changed, okay? So that being said, okay, so we're going to look at how to create a list first off, okay? I'm going to look at how to create a list. All right, so how do you create a list in Python, right? I said lists is created using what? Square brackets, okay? So I'm going to create a list now. So let's say we have name of trainees, right? Equals to, right? So the first thing you have to do is to have your square brackets this way. So this is a square bracket, this is the left, and this is the right square bracket, okay? And please feel free, if you have any question at any point in time, feel free to drop it in the chat box. I would always get notified if there is any question at all. Okay, so name of employees, right? So let's see, of training. So let's see, so let's, for example, say dots, right? This is a string, right? Let's say Cordelia, let's say Bolu, let's say Ari, for example, and then I'll end this with you know, the right square bracket, right? So let's see. I'm going to return this. So, right, so we have a list, right? Like I mentioned, if you are, you know, the standard way of doing this is to actually do something like this, print, right? Remember the print function, right? So print name of trainees, right? Why we are not using that much often is because we are using Google Colab, which is an interactive notebook, right? That can automatically output, you know, whatsoever we give it, right? The input, right? So let's see, right? So to check the data type of, you know, anything we have in Python, you use the type function, remember, right? So here we can see that, oh, this is saying our name of trainings is a list data type, right? So remember how to check for the data type of anything you are finding, you want to check in Python, right? To use the type function, okay? So we have dots as an element in the name of trainings list. We have Cordelia as an element, we have Bolu as an element, we have Ari as an element, right? So we've talked about how to create a list in Python. Now I'm talking about the elements in Python in a list, right? So these are individual elements that makes up this list, okay? So if we want to check, so basically, okay, so we have individual elements in a list, right? In Python, right, we count from 0. So count starts from 0. And I will explain what I mean by what I, you know, saying count starts from 0. So for example, and I want you to listen attentively here because this will, I don't want this to be confusing, right? In this list, right, name of training, that's the name of the list, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 elements in this list. But if we are counting based on index, right? So index basically means like position, right? So dot starts at index 0 because it is the first element. Cordelia is the second element, but index what? 1. Bolu is the what? Third element, but index 2. Ari is the what? Fourth element, but index 3. If you understand this concept, you would find it easy to understand list in Python and also work with list in Python. Please, if you have any question, do let me know. So this is a list. This individually are elements of a list, right? And when we talk about indexing, this starts at what? Index 0. And this is like the first element. This is what? Element index 1, second element, right? So like that, right? So that means we can, infer that if we have 4 elements in a list, then it means we should have 3 indexes, right? Or indices, right? So if we have 5 elements in a list, how many indices are we going to have? Or do we have? Can someone just quickly answer that? So if we have 5 elements in a list, how many indices are we expected to have?
4.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, good, great. Okay, awesome. Now, understanding this is very important. And you can see I'm emphasizing on very important, because if you don't understand this, it's going to mess up with you when you are doing something like a loop, when you are trying to append, when you are trying to do a whole lot of things, right? So, and that's why I'm taking my time to explain so that we can all understand this, okay? So we've talked about how you initialize a list by using what? The angle brackets, no, not angle brackets, square brackets, okay? And this contains, all strings, right? So a list can contain combination of different data types. So let's do that. So let's say random, for example, random lists is equal to, right? This is how you create. So I'm going to say, for example, 12. I'm going to say true. I'm going to say Charles. I'm going to say 7.0 and okay. So let me return this random lists, right? Remember the better way to do this is by using prints, right? That is the standard way of doing it, right? So if I print this out, right, I'm going to have 12 true, Charles, and 7.0, right? And if I check the type of random list, for example, I'm going to have what? A list, right? So a list do not mind having different data type in it, right? Okay, let me see, you have a question. Let me see, you raised your hand. You have a question? You're on mute if you're talking.
Oh, okay. So when you wrote random list, so I can see that Charles is put in quotation. So my question is true not in quotation because it's a boolean?
Exactly. Yes. So I intentionally.
So it doesn't affect it.
No, so it doesn't affect it because remember I said Python, when we started, right? Python, I talked about keywords in Python, right? True is a keyword in Python that means a Boolean, true, right? 1, right? That's what it means, right? So true, Python takes true as its keyword, right? Boolean, right? So if I type something like, okay, small letter true, right? So you're going to see that this is going to return an error. Can you see? True is not defined. Okay. So if I put true in quotes now, we will not have issues. Can you see? This true here is different from this true. You can even see that the true here is of different color, right? Python's keyword, right? So this, it has been programmed by the interpreter, right? The collab notebook that once you see true, know that it's a what? a Boolean type, which is a Python reserved word, right? So if I put false here, for example, I say false, right? You can see this, right? So if this is in small letter, this will return an error, except it's in quote. So that means I'm saying, so let's do this real quick. So I'm going to say type of false, for example. This should return Boolean, B-O-O-L, right? If I say type of false in small caps, this will return an error, okay? Right, why? Because it's saying you did not define false before now, but if I have this in quotes, right, this will return a string and not a Boolean, right? So do you understand the difference now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, awesome. All right, so where are we? Okay, so we have different data type in a list, right? So we have 12, we have true, we have Charles, we have 7.0, and we have false, right? As a string. Okay, so we want to do something called indexing, right? And what exactly is indexing in Python, right? Indexing a list. So indexing basically means what? Assessing a single item, it can be more, assessing an item from a list. So by item, I mean elements, right? So we can assess an item, more than one item in, you know, in a list, right? In Python, okay? So, okay, all right. So looking at that, right? So how do we assess an element in a list, right? So remember I mentioned indexing, right? I mentioned that the first element actually is at index 0, right? And what the second element is at what? Index 1, okay? So indexing is also, you know, done using a square bracket, right? And there are certain rules you must follow when indexing, right? So for example, we have, let's do this, for example. So random lists, I'm just going to call this again. So random list is, you know, 12 true Charles 7.0, right? So if I want to access 12 in here, right, I would say something like this: random lists, square brackets, right? And what will come into my square bracket is what? The index of that particular element. I'm not saying the number of the elements, I'm saying what's the index. So for example, I mentioned earlier that 12 is at index what?
0.
Awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Oladayo, Charles is at index what?
2.
Awesome. Yeah, please, you can go on it. Okay. Just to confirm that everyone is following, I'm going to call random names. Joseph 7.0 is at index what?
3.
Okay. EMC 12 is at index what?
0.
Awesome. So from there, we can go on and say, okay, I want to get 12, right? What will be in my, inside this square bracket will be the index of that particular element. So if I want to get 12 now, I would what? Put 0, right? And if I run this, you can see I have 12 return. Okay. If I want to get Charles, I know this is a list first off. Okay. And then if I want to get Charles, which is an element, I'll return into a square bracket the index of Charles. So let's imagine, so let me confirm 0, 1, 2. So this is 2. Okay. And then if I run this cell, I'll have Charles return, right? So a quick one from what we've learned so far. Let me see. Let me pick someone at random. Please, I hope your Google Colab is launched already. Just because I'm just saying that, I'll give us about a minute to all of us launch your Google Colab. I'm going to call someone at random to test this out for us. Okay, so I'm just buying us time. Okay, so random lists. If I want to get 7.0, I would have, let's say 4 or 3. Let me see, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 7.0, right? So if I have something like this, I'm going to call my name again. I initialize something the other time, name of trainings. Okay, I'm going to call this again. Yeah. Okay, yes. Name of trainings is this, right? So Cordelia, if I want to get Cordelia, what will I do? Cordelia, are you here? Okay, I think Cordelia is no longer here. Okay, Sharon, do you want to help us with that?
All right, name of trainees.
Yes, and I want to get this name. I want to return just this name.
All right, name of trainees. That's name underscore of underscore trainees, Angular brackets.
No, not Angular. This is Angular brackets.
Sorry, square bracket rather.
Okay.
Square bracket 1.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Sharon. Let me see. You want to give it a try, Ari? So we want to get Ari.
Okay, so that would be name of trainees.
Okay.
Square brackets.
Okay. So what's the index number?
3.
Okay, she said 3. So let's see 3. Okay, awesome. Now, what we have been doing so far is what we call positive indexing, right? So positive indexing is we are going from the first to the last, right? So, and you can see we have 0, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, right? So there's also something called negative indexing, right? So imagine, and why, so, okay, I'm going to tell us what negative indexing is, and I can tell us like where we can apply that, okay? So negative indexing is we starting from behind, right? Positive indexing is what we've been doing so far, starting from the front, and then we have the first element to be 0, 1, 2, and the likes, right? Negative indexing, we are starting from behind, but the last is not 0. So because it is negative indexing, the last will be what? -1, so -1. So it means that Ari here, if we are using negative indexing, Ari will be what? -1. Bolu will be what? -2. Cordelia will be what? -3. Dot will be what? -4. Let's try that out, okay? So I'm going to return name of employee and of trainees here. I don't know why I'm using employee, okay? So, okay, so we want to get Ari using negative indexing, right? So just the way we have it before, and I'm going to say -1, right? And then this returns what? Ari. Okay, let's try for Cordelia, right? This, so -1, -2, and -3. So let's do this -3 and return Cordelia, right? So do we understand the difference between positive indexing and negative indexing? Okay, so look at this from this point of view, right? If I have a very long list and I'm only interested in taking like maybe the last number, right? Or the last element or the last item in the list, right? Why would I want to start counting my elements before getting to the last, right? I can just say -1, right? And that gets me what? All the last elements in my list, right? You can see how like a use case being particular about how to do that thing. Okay, so I'm going to call on one random person to share their screen. Abidemi King, the oracle has chosen you. And then Victor, please be ready after Abidemi King. Abidemi King, please can you unmute?
Hello.
Yeah, hello, Abidemi King.
So I'm joining for the first time. I would have to go through it very well.
Okay, that's fine. Victor, are you there?
I'll just go through it.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm here though, but I'm still trying to catch up, please.
Okay, so please, I advise strongly that everyone watch, you go back to previous lessons to understand and watch the videos. The videos are on the Slack channel, and even on YouTube, I referenced all the videos, right, as we progress, right? Please do well to catch up with time. I see little or no interactions on the Slack channel, so I want to believe and assume that everybody understands or understood the class, right? So please, the Slack channel was created so that we can have more conversations, we can interact better, right? Please and please, if you do not understand anything, like I mentioned the first time, don't be shy to ask. I was once there. So please don't be shy to ask at any point in time if you do not understand something. And just that, we're doing stuff that are still basic, but we're going to be building on what we're doing every day, right? Every class, we're going to be building on what we are doing. And if you do not understand the past class, it might be very difficult for you to catch up, right? So please try and go back. If you do not understand anything whatsoever, put it in the Python channel. I do not understand this. I'm not clear on this. Somebody is going to reach out to you, definitely. And yeah, different people on this platform will definitely reach out to you. Yeah, so there is a question. Okay, definitely. All right, so I'm just going to share that right away. Okay, so okay. All right, so here you go. Okay, so please, I'm pleading because that's just the truth. It will get much more difficult if you do not understand the previous class. That's just the basic truth. Okay, so I'm going to call someone again. Oladoyin, are you here? Bolu, are you here? Oladoyin, are you here? Bolu, are you here?
I'm here, Bolu.
Okay. Oladayo, sorry, I missed the name.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a minute. Let me.
Okay, just when you're ready, let me know. Okay, yeah, Bolu, can you share your screen? And we'll move from there. So I'm going to stop sharing.
All right.
Okay. Oladayo, are you ready? You're on mute, Oladayo.
Sorry, I want to connect the Zoom on the system. This Zoom is system on.
Okay. Bolo, are you ready now?
Yeah, almost.
Okay.
Okay.
Joseph, are you ready to share your screen? You're on mute.
All right. I'm sharing
Okay.
now. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Okay. Oh.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
All right, I'm muted, brother.
I'm ready.
Just hold on. Let's Bolo go first. Then I'll call you Oladayo. By the way, you might want to check your mic before coming on board. A lot of noise is coming from your mic, Oladayo. Yeah, Bolo. So basically, we want you to create a list of age. So let's just create a list of cars, right? So different brand names, about 5. Different
Okay.
models of cars, and then from there we want you to use specifically negative index. So pick out the last 2, second to the last elements in your list.
All right. Let's see. Like how many? I'm sorry, Kenny. I don't know if I'm still on with you guys.
Yes, you're here. We can
Okay,
see
so
your
I was
screen.
asking how many?
Yeah, I said about 5. Just 5 is
5.
okay. Yeah.
Let me see.
You have Kia, you have Honda, you have Hyundai, you have Lamborghini, you have Ferrari.
Okay.
So we want to write our code in a standard way now. So use the print function, right? Because tomorrow you might end up using Visual Studio Code, which is like standard, and then this messes you up because why is this not printing out to the screen? Okay.
All right. Oh shit. I did not separate.
Yeah, okay, good. On the run, that's all. Okay.
Okay.
So we want to get Hyundai using negative indexing.
All right. So is it print?
Are you asking me? So this is a live test. So just do that. Do what comes to your mind.
All right. So
next thing I will do, anybody that asks me, I will tell you the wrong answer.
okay, let me see. Yep. So for Hyundai.
Okay, awesome. So who is next? I don't know. We lost Oladayo. Yeah. Have you fixed your mic now?
So let me stop sharing.
Yeah. Oladayo, have you fixed your mic now? Okay, so Joseph, are you ready to share? Joseph, you're on mute.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay,
You
should
ready
I
to-
share?
Yeah, sure, yes.
Oh, someone is already sharing.
Who is sharing their screen? Who is sharing? Not sure. Who is sharing?
I'm the one.
Okay, all right. So just hold on, Joseph. Olada, okay. So create a list containing, okay, you want to do cars containing food. Yeah, and then just create about three. No, yeah, three. Create about four. Create about four lists containing food. And then we want to pick the first index in the list using negative indexing. So hope you know it must not have to end with food lists or something. So you can have a more descriptive name, right? Yeah, just to point that out. In case you're talking, we cannot hear you, just in case, just to point that out. Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so moving on. Can you all see my screen? Just to confirm.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So we've looked at, you know, indexing. There's also another concept called slicing, right? So what exactly is slicing? Like, okay, what exactly is slicing, right? Imagine you're peeling yam and then you slice yam, right? So it means that you're cutting a part, and you, so in programming or in list, it means like you're taking a part, right? So here we have name of employees to be Dots, Cordelia, Bolu, and Ari. So what if I want to just take Cordelia and Bolu, right? That is something that should be achievable, right? What if I just want to take Cordelia, Dots, and Bolu, right? So you can see different ways to think about this, right? So slicing, list slicing is just a way to get a subsection of a list, right? So subsection means like a part of a list, okay? So it allows you to specify the first elements that you want to get, right? And you know, there are different ways to do slicing. We're going to look into that in a moment, right? So slicing can help you go through a sequence, right, in a way you want to achieve that, right? So we're going to look at that. So just a minute, we're going to look at something like this. So for example, if you have this, right? So I'm going to do this. So just we are going to be doing slicing for us. So just hold on a second. I did not forget. Okay. So we have trademark, for example, we have brand names, right? So we have D&G, we have Givenchy. I think there's a better way to pronounce that. Ashlocks, Gucci, and the likes, right? So I want to get just from just Ashlocks to Gucci, for example. Let's start from the basics, right? I want to get Ashlocks to Prada, for example, right? So I'll give you the structure of, to get that. So how to get this is, for example, list name. So I'm going to give you a format to get this once and for all. So starts, colon, end, colon, step size, or you can just say step, right? So this here is just to guide you on how to do slicing, right? So by default in Python, the slice is 1. No, sorry, the step size is 1. And what do I mean by step size? We're going to look at this in a moment. So for example, there are also rules to slicing. All right, so in slicing, right, if I want to get D&G up to Ashlocks, for example, right? Just a quick one. We know that D&G is of index 0, right? We know Givenchy is of index 1, and then Ashlocks is of index 2 rather, right? Am I communicating? Okay,
Yes.
So if we want to do slicing, for example, we have to go from what we want to pick. So we want to pick from D&G to Ashlocks, right? On a norm, right? It means I want to pick from index 0 to index 2, right? Which is correct, right? But if you want to do this in Python, you have to take from index 0 to index 3. And why we're taking from index 0 to index 3 instead of index 0 to index 2 is because Python will go from your start to your end and reduce the step by 1, like take it backward by 1. So for example, you have D&G, Givenchy, and what? Ashlocks, right? For example, right? So if you have this, for example, and then I do something like this, trademark, right? So I want to start from index 0 to 2, right? Because we know Ashlocks is 2, right? But this will return D&G and Givenchy because I know already, right? So if you do this, I know somebody will ask me, why did I not put another colon for step size? So if I do something like this, colon 1, why I did not put that is because by default, Python uses 1 as the step size. So if I do this and I run this again, it still gives me what? D&G and Givenchy, but I want D&G, Givenchy, and Ashlocks, right? So to get this particular index range, right, I have to do from the start to the end plus 1. So it has to be 0 to what? 2 plus 1. So this instead of 2 will be what? 3. Okay. Remember I said the step size automatically is by default is by 1, but we will see, we will change the step size to so that you can understand exactly what's happening. Okay. So if I run this cell, for example, you can see now I have what? D&G, Givenchy, and Ashlocks. Okay. So let me ask Yemisi, for example, if I want to go from Ashlocks to Versace, right? What am I going to do? So Ashlocks to Versace, what am I going to do? Just give it a try.
Okay, so that will be parent square bracket.
Okay.
1,
She said one.
semicolon.
Okay, one semicolon.
Oh, I'm coming. Oh, no, 2 actually. 2. No, like take remove the 1, 2.
Okay. So
Okay,
you're
let me
going
just
from where to where?
I'm going from abstract to detached, right?
Okay.
That's the question.
Yes.
Okay. So that would be 5.
Okay. So we can either put
Yeah.
the one, right? So let's see if Yemisi is correct.
That would be 6. That would be 6, not 5.
Oh, okay, awesome, good. Okay, so that will be 6. Any question? Does anybody is there someone who do not understand why this is 6 and not 5? Victor, you have a question? You're raising your hand.
Okay, that was earlier on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, that was
Okay.
earlier on.
Okay, just hold on. For this now, let's look at this line 30 now. How do we return this trademark under? We have all these trademarks, then we return this trademark under. Mine is not showing.
Okay, I'll get to you in a second, but I'm not sure I understand your question.
Okay, go to the trademark. That's line that have trademark.
Okay.
Okay, here. We define all this, D&G, Givenchy, Ashley's, Gucci, Prada, and that. So how did we return this trademark?
By typing the trademark under this one. If I did not
Okay.
put this one here, right?
Okay.
This here is just saying I'm assigning the variable name to this list. So if I return this just like this, it's not going to return anything. The next line I put now, which is trademark, or better still, in a better way, I can do print trademark, right? It means return the values of that variable, which is what? A list, which is this. Do you understand now?
Oh, it's clear now. It's clear. I get it now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I can imagine, I can, just understand that you've not been watching the videos. Okay, that's fine. All right, so, okay, so we have, I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to do this. So I'm going to do something like this. For example, I'm going to have vehicles, right? So let's pick someone at random. Charles. Then after Charles, Francis. Yeah, let's do that. So Charles, are you here? Can you hear me? You're on mute. I'm just going to.
I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we want to get from Ford to Bentley. How are we going to do that?
From Ford to Bentley.
Mm-hmm.
Are you using negative indexing or positive?
Oh, someone wants to try his hands. Let's use negative indexing. Awesome. I like this. Yeah. So,
okay, so from Ford to Bentley, right?
Sorry, Francis, you're on mute. Please, can you mute yourself, Francis? Okay, yeah. Let's go, Charles.
Okay, from if we're moving from Ford to Bentley, it would be moving from -8.
Okay, -8.
To -2.
So am I going to say -8, -2?
No, no.
So what am I going to do?
What's it called?
I don't want to change it right now. Okay, not semicolon. No, this is semicolon.
All right, colon. Sorry.
Colon. Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is not entirely right.
Okay, I think it should be minus. I'm coming. It's not correct. We're moving to Bentley, so I think it should be -1.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Okay. Yes, boom. Using negative indexing. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's use this step, right? What exactly is this step, right? So for example, we have vehicles here, right? And I'm saying, let me use positive indexing to start so that someone will not get confused, okay? So if I want to get from Ford to Bentley, right, I can say 1 to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8. Okay. Right. So I'm going to just copy this and then paste this here, and then use step size of 1, right? Which is by default, and that's why we don't include it if we want to use a step size of 1, right? So what does this step size of 1, what does it mean, right? So I'm going to explain this now. Step size means that, okay, this is index 1 and we're going towards index 7 actually, right? Because we have index 8, right? But we are going to index 7. You know why it's index 7 and not 8, right? Because we just have to add 1, right, to our end index. Okay, so what step size is doing in the background is saying, okay, after getting index 1, move by just 1 step and get to the next index. So after getting index 1, move by 1. So it takes, index 1, okay, moves by 1 index, takes Toyota. Move again by 1 index, it takes what? Lambo, right? Move again by 1 index, it takes what? Kia, right? So let's imagine this is what? This here is 2, right? And then I run this. Can you see what has happened, right? So this step size is 2. Now we are saying after the first index, right, take 2 steps, right? So you can see it's going towards Lambo and skipping what? Toyota, right? Take another 2 steps, right? It's skipping what? Kia, and what? It takes Volvo, right? It's skipping what? Chevy, and it takes what? It takes what? Bentley. Is anybody confused here? Okay, so I will give us something like this. For example, let's say, so results, in fact, let me just do this. Or better still, let me do this. Okay, results is just a moment. I'm trying to give us a quick assessment. So yep. Okay. Okay, so let's imagine yeah. So the results that I want to be, I need is Toyota, Kia, and Chevy. What are you going to have as your indexing? Like what code will you have as your indexing? Joseph, do you want to give this a try? So you have Toyota, I want Toyota, Kia, and Chevy to be returned. So what exactly are you going to type?
Sorry, I've not been following, but I can just try. Okay, so you want Toyota, Kia, and Chevy. So using maybe, what's it called? The positive indexing, 0, 1, 2. So I'm starting with 2.
Okay.
Then colon, so I'm going to Chevy, right? So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 to 7 Then just some seconds. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. Okay, you're moving by the step is sorry. Okay, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, interesting. You're moving by, what am I even doing? Okay, Kia. Okay, where's Kia? Sorry. This is 2, 3, 4. Moving by how many steps now? This is 1 step, 2 steps. So column 2.
Okay, let's see if Joseph will be right. Okay, awesome.
Come on.
Okay, so it's getting interesting, right? So I'm going to also give us another result I want, and Sharon is going to do this for us. Okay. So I'm going to say forward. I'm going to just copy this, make it more interesting. I'm going to do this. Okay, so Sharon, are you ready? Just to be sure, can you unmute? Sharon, yeah. Yes, Sharon is here. Sharon, you're on mute?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, good. Some coming. Don't worry, don't be scared. I will not make it difficult. Okay, so yeah, we had Toyota, then we said, okay. So let's say we have this. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to make this really interesting. So, okay. Yeah, so I'm going to remove this. So this is the result I want, Sharon. How are you going to do this?
Okay, so that should be vehicles from index 1 to index 5.
Okay.
So step size would be 2.
Oh, you said 2, okay. So I should run this. So you are going to be the one to debug this yourself. You are going to debug this yourself, Sharon. So look at your code and see what you're doing wrong.
All right, then that should be 3, rather, not 2.
Okay, she said 3. Okay, awesome. So you can see how to play around with step size, how to play around with indexing, how to bring indexing into slicing and the likes, right? Awesome. Okay, so there is one more complex thing to do. Looking at the time, okay. So we call something nested lists. Okay. So, okay, before we go get into nested lists, so that we can just refresh.
Sorry, can we use minus there? Can we try all those from backward?
Yeah, so okay. I do not want to try it in this class. I'm going to be given us an assignment to do that, so that you can play with it, and then I would know that everybody try their hands on it. Okay. Yeah, Oladen, you have a question.
Okay. My question is, what if you want to select at random and it doesn't follow pattern? Like, okay, like this one now we skip 2, we skip 3. We want to select at random.
Okay, so if you want to select at random, right, you can do it like this in a way. So how you do that is, first off, you have to now start using some libraries like maybe NumPy, where you generate a random number and have a loop that loops through the random number and takes the value of the random number and have that random number as your index of a list and then picks the random number. So you can see, like, you don't have to basically, like, sorry, somebody is speaking. Okay, so I'm not sure who's that. You can just probably type in the checkbox in the chat or raise your hand. Okay, so there are different ways to, you know, actually do that. I don't know who asked the question. I think it was Oladoyin, right? So if you when we probably you might want to remind me when we get to loops in Python. We'll probably look at that. It's actually like a very simple use case. Okay, so moving on to modifying a list, we're still going to look at nested lists, right? But let's look at modifying a list, and then from there we'll start the next class. Okay, so what does modifying a list means, right? Modifying, from the word modifying, it means changing the elements of a list, right? It means changing the items of a list. So, and modification can come in a way where you add and you subtract, right? You either add to something or you take away from it, right? So basically that's what modification means. So elements can be added to a list, it can be removed. And how you do that is using the assignment operator. We looked at the assignment operator, right? Where we say something is equal to something, right? So how do we modify a list in Python? So we're just going to be doing the first way of modifying a list before and call it a day because of our time, okay? So for example, we have a list here called name, right? And then I want to change, let's say, for example, I want to change Tony to maybe Sony, right? How do I do that? Remember, you have to understand indexing first, right? Because you can't just change Tony into something else without understanding what exactly do you want to change, right? So you know you want to change Tony, but you have to get the index of Tony, right? So what index is Tony? 2, right? So to change Tony, you just say name 2, right? If we run this, we know that this gives us what? Tony, right? So if I say this is equal to, let's say, you know, let's say Debbie, for example, right? So I'm equating this in the element in this index to another variable, to another, you know, data type or data, right? Another value, right? If I say name now, and then I run this, you can see what has happened, right? It has changed it from Dolapo doing Tony, Kenny, Gracias, Tommy to what? Dolapo doing Debbie, which we have what explicitly changed, right? So you can see how we have modified a list. And what we did here is overriding the value of a list, right? So we changed Tony to Debbie. So a quick one, let me just pick one person at random and then we'll call it a day. Francis, yes. Can you change Kenny to Francis? Francis, you're on mute.
Okay, all right, let me do a try. Let me share my okay, yeah, it will be name.
Not it could be, I want it to be sure.
Okay, you want to change Kenny?
Yes, change Kenny to Francis, yes.
So you have name.
Okay, you have name.
Okay, square bracket.
Okay.
3.
Okay.
Equal to
okay.
Francis.
In bracket open. This is
in bracket open. In quotation.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and then I want to print out name also. So you can see Kenny has successfully been changed to what? Francis. Okay. Yeah, so that'll be it for today's class.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please do ask a question.
If I want to change more than one value here, like I want to change Dolapo Doyin Debbie to Jide, Akin, and Chukudi.
Yeah, we'll look at that the next class. It's actually
All
one
right,
of the
okay,
examples.
thanks.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
All right. Yeah, so thank you all for coming to today's class. I'm going to stop recording.